Hello and welcome to Ground Control RC. I was out of state for a week, and when I got back, look what was waiting for me. This is the XK Edge A430 430 millimeter wingspan, 17 inches. It has a brushless 1406 motor on it. The only modification I've made to it so far is I have replaced the connector on the battery and on the plane with the JST connector rather than a lossy connector, since that's what I've standardized on with my lower powered planes and batteries. It has a 6-axis gyro system. It says it's a 5-channel. I don't know where the other channel is coming from. It's a 4-channel plane. It has ailerons, elevator, rudder, throttle. It has a decent landing gear on it with these foam wheels. As a matter of fact, everything was already assembled except for the main landing gear, and all you have to do is snap them into the slot here in the front. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention in a previous video with one of these little micro planes is always take these planes and either hook up your battery and your transmitter and roll them across the floor, or taxi it across the floor or the ground, and make sure that you've got a straight track on this thing, because a lot of times with these little tiny flimsy tail wheels, they'll be bent, and this one was wanting to make a hard left-hand turn every time I taxied across the floor until I got that tail wheel straightened out on it. So don't forget to do that. You don't want to find out when you get ready to take off that your plane's going to spin around on you. So it comes with a spare prop, and it comes with a screwdriver. It comes with this cool little transmitter, and on the transmitter, the top buttons on the left and the right don't do anything. This is a mode 2, so the throttle is on the left, and on the right, of course, you have elevator and you have rudder. If you depress the right stick until you hear it click, that will change from 6-axis to 3D mode, which is basically full manual. And then on the throttle stick, if you depress that, you'll hear it click, and that changes the throw on the rudder. So you can change it so that you have a little more throw on the rudder if you need a little more throw on the rudder. It takes 4 AA batteries, and also what I found, I like this little cowling here. It's got a little tab in the back that slides in, and then it's got magnets on the front, 2 magnets on each side that hold the cowling in. You can hear that snap shut, and it holds it fairly securely. So I think that was a good idea. It weighs 80 grams all up weight. Comes with a 2-cell 300 milliamp 20C battery. It's supposed to have a 1.2 to 1 thrust to weight ratio. Since it's a sport plane / stunt plane, I was hoping it would have a little higher thrust to weight ratio than that. I was hoping around 1.4 to 1.5, but we'll see how that 1.2 does, especially when I put an FPV system on it. But I'm first going to have to figure out a way to get into that receiver to solder in my power leads for my Micro FPV system. It comes with a decent little manual. It comes with the battery. It comes with this balance charger. Unfortunately, mine came with the European plug, and they put one of these cheap little adapters in here for a US plug. When I ordered the XK A600 DHC2 Beaver, it actually came with the US plug. So I wish they would start getting that correct, where they'd send you the right type of plug instead of putting an adapter in the box. But anyway, 80 grams all up weight. It's going to have a higher thrust to weight ratio than its big brother, the XK A600 DHC2 Beaver. So it might be a little funner to fly. It's got fairly large control surfaces on it. So yeah, I can't wait to get this out and get it flying. So, and one other thing that I found, since I already had the A600, and they both come with the same transmitter, and they both have almost identical electronics, except this one has a 1406 motor and the Beaver has a 1404. It has a little plug in here on the inside. I know it's going to be hard to see on video, but there's a little button. And so what I was able to do was take the transmitter that I was already using for the XK A600, turn on the transmitter, power up the plane, push this button, and it immediately bound to my existing transmitter. So I can use the same transmitter to fly both those planes, and then that gives me a spare transmitter if ever I need one. Or if they could start selling these planes in bind to fly instead of ready to fly, then you know, you might be able to save $10 on the purchase since you're not having to purchase the transmitter at the same time. But we'll see if they choose to do that. But, you know, for the money, I think these are pretty cool planes, you know, for the price. And they're fairly durable. And they're very lightweight. And with a 6-axis gyro system, they're just a blast to fly, even in a fair amount of wind. So now that we know all about this plane, let's take it out and do a test flight on it. Let's do the maiden on this thing. I'll see you out at the field. We are out here in the desert with our XK Edge A430. It's pretty iffy out here this morning. The wind forecast was for 2 to 3 mile an hour wind. My wind meter shows the wind on the ground at 5 to 8. Is meteorology really a science? Because it doesn't seem so to me. I think I could forecast the wind just as accurately with a magic 8 ball. What do you think? But we're gonna see if we can maiden this morning without crashing with this wind out here. So I've been waiting a week to get out here to fly this thing. All right, ready? Well, we're off anyway. Ooh, nice dip. Nice looking plane. Woo! That thing will really dip in a hurry into the wind. Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna have some 2 to 3 mile an hour wind to actually fly in. It's a dream I have. But this one does not seem as stable as the Beaver in wind. This one reacts a lot differently to the wind than the A600 DHC2 Beaver. But XK really seems to be making some really nice micro airplanes with these brushless systems. Very nice. Now let's see if we can make a faster pass over here. Boy, it's having a hard time turning against the wind too. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have as much lift. I've got full elevator in this thing right now. Right now, I've got full elevator in it. So that's kind of odd. I may have to adjust the linkage on that elevator. But I'm trying to keep it kind of low here, number one, so we can see it, And number two, because the winds aloft are always greater here than on the ground, and 5 to 8 on the ground is not good for a little tiny plane like this. It weighs 80 grams all up weight. Yeah, that was full elevator. So I'm not sure about that when you're going downwind. I definitely need to tweak this one a little bit. And that was full bank right there too. So it does not turn as tightly. Does not turn as tightly as the A600 Beaver either, which is kind of odd because this is supposed to be a sport plane. So it looks like the 6-axis gyro on this little sport plane is much more restrictive than on the DHC-2 Beaver, which is kind of odd. Fun little plane. And I don't know how slow this one will fly. I'm sure it will not fly as slow as the DHC-2 Beaver will. Pretty quiet. Slow it down a little bit and see what it'll do. Hopefully I don't stall it. Okay, so let's see if we can bring it in on this next pass. In the wind. I don't know how this one's going to react to trying to land in the wind compared to the DHC-2 Beaver, because the Beaver is it really wants to float. Oh, hell, that wasn't bad at all. Okay, so you saw the maiden flight. What did you think? I think this is a pretty neat little plane. I love the fact that it has a brushless system. I can't give it 5 out of 5 stars because I feel that the controls in 6G mode just didn't have enough authority, especially for a sport plane. I should be able to maneuver this even in 6G mode a lot better than the bush plane, the DHC-2 Beaver, made by the same company, and I think the electronics are just about the same. From plane to plane, it flew very well. I liked it. But I was concerned about especially the authority that you have on the elevator control. I mean, when I was I know I had quite a bit of wind out there today, but turning downwind and having to put full elevator into it to maintain altitude is, yeah, it's kind of scary. You don't know when it's going to drop its nose in those circumstances. So because of that, at this point in time, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a good flying plane. It doesn't have enough authority for a sport plane, that's for sure. I wish that I had calm wind where I could test it in manual mode. I'm sure in manual mode it will have plenty of control authority on all the control surfaces, but I will investigate this, see if I can modify the linkage, especially on the elevator, and see if I can overcome this problem in 6G mode with the elevator authority on it. And then I'll visit this again. You know, maybe I'll change the rating on it. But right now I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I will also see about putting an FPV system on it, because I mean, This is just begging to have an FPV system on it. So I hope you enjoyed the review. It is a good plane. It's fairly docile in 6G mode for a sport plane. So would I buy it again? Yeah, I would buy it again. I think I'm going to have lots and lots of fun with this plane. If you're like me and you have to fly in a considerable amount of wind every time that you go out, then I would say the DHC-2 Beaver is probably a better plane for you because it has better control authority in 6G mode. For those of you who have calmer wind to fly in, this will probably be a better plane. But those are my thoughts on it. That's my review. I like it. I'll put up more videos when I take it back out again and see what I find after making some modifications on it. So hope you enjoyed the review. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.